Good morning. Let's take a look at Ethereum first. Right now we're looking at the 4-hour chart. Let's open it up to the daily chart, and you can see on the daily chart we have Ethereum kind of floating into this wave. This is the wave pattern by Ragi, and it's a subscription service from Simpler Trading. And they give you this wave thing here. What you see here, this dashed line is my bot, and it had a sell on Ethereum last week on Friday. But Ragi would say it's in here in the wave. You're at a support level here, like a volume ledge. Let's take a look on the monthly and see what we get. See if we can find a strong level of support here. And I would say, bottom of that ledge looks like good support, but it definitely is not very clear based on a monthly chart. So let's take a look at the weekly chart, see if we can find something that would give us a little bit more idea of where support should lay. And it kind of looks like there's a support level here. So let's put a support level here at 31.74. We'll switch back to the daily, and you could see that's kind of where it touched and bounced off a little bit. So it might come back down. We never know what it'll do, but this gives us an idea. I'll wait for my bot to give me an idea, but somewhere in here, in this area between the green and the red, would be a good place to buy if you were looking for it. You could also look at the stochastic. This is again the stochastic from Simpler Trading, but you can simply use the RSI as well. And you can see it's somewhere in the middle, so we're not too strong. Let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. We'll do the same analysis on Bitcoin, and you can see here on the daily, we're not yet at that wave, but we are in the middle of a very high volume ledge. So that might actually indicate that there's some support for us over here. Again, we were told by my bot to exit this already, and we would have saved some money had you exited back over here. Let's take a look a little bit closer. We're going to look at the 1-hour chart and see. You could see that it's coming down. It hit this level of support. The bot is saying to buy, but that might only last for several hours. So this is not really a long-term trade. This would be a short-term trade to swing around. All right, let's take a look at the semiconductors. Semiconductors are looking pretty good. The wave is bullish. It's going in a good direction. It pulled back some. It's at a support level here, and it's coming into the wave. So this might be a buy soon. Let's take a look at copper. Copper had a good run the past few days. It's been on an uptrend. It did pull back a little bit. Today it's down 1.3%. But again, this looks like a nice support level here. Let's take a look on the monthly. Just zoom out far, and you can see that micro copper, there is this resistance level here. So it's playing in between levels, and you can clearly see that. So let's drop another line there. We'll go back into our daily, and you can see how that fits. So it's playing with resistance levels right now. I'm assuming it'll pull back to here. I don't know if it'll give us a full pullback into the wave before it continues. We've been looking at weak production numbers before, I think, and then I think people realize that the economy is doing better than they thought it was, and so we've had copper kind of go up and run. So I like copper. If you don't want to trade copper, you can always trade. I think Freeport-McMoRan. They follow copper pretty closely, and you can see their pattern looks somewhat similar. All right, So let's go over to silver now. Silver on the daily, we're still on a green trend according to my bot. I wouldn't necessarily buy here, but we're at a support level. You never know what the market will do, if it'll support here and continue. But certainly if we have good production numbers, manufacturing silver should continue. And this is the ETF for silver, SLV. So you don't have to trade the contract, you can trade the ETF. Here's the Qs. Let's take a look at the Qs. Interesting trend. It looks pretty green to me, but it has pulled back into this wave, and that might mean that it's gonna continue to pull back a little bit because of the indecision here. The bot had exited this position, so I think my bot would be waiting to see what's going to happen. What's interesting to note is that it's starting to squeeze here, and you can see that on the red dot on the TTM squeeze. That is sort of interesting. Usually when there's a squeeze, it will release eventually in the direction it was going. So with this pullback, you can expect this to pull back a little bit more, and then it should release in the upward direction if it does release. Let's take a look at the technology ETF. And again, this is looking pretty good, but it did pull back a little bit. The wave is kind of sloppy. It wouldn't be my first choice to invest in just because we've had such a big run, but it is back in the wave, and it has the potential, like you see, pull back into the wave and then do another run up. So let's zoom out again, and you can see we're at this support level. There's the resistance level. Let's look at the monthly on this. You can see there's just nothing to compare this to. But what I do notice here on the monthly is that you have this distance from the wave, and then here you see this distance from the wave, so you could see that it pulled back. So if I was going to measure this, I would say, we could expect maybe a similar size pullback. So if I did that and said that that was my pullback, what would it look like here? If I pulled back to the wave, you're looking at somewhere around here in this support level, and so that would be into the red line of the wave at about $1.48 on the technology. So you see that that's actually a 25% haircut it could take. Also, what I don't like is that little top here. But again, this is the monthly chart, so depending on your time frame for trading, you'll have different results. On the daily, you could see peaked here, pulled back, peaked here, pulled back, peaked here, pulled back. So economy is doing well. It may continue. Let's take a look at the communication sector. This is the communication ETF. This one actually has a really nice run over here. It's been going good. What I'd pay attention to is this squeeze. So you look at this squeeze, and you see this is just going sideways for a little while. Eventually this should open up and should continue upward. Gold. Gold did its pullback. My bot is saying to let it go. Take your money. It could pull back a little bit more into the wave, and that would give you another opportunity to go at it again. But at the moment, I'm not buying gold. I do have gold, and I'm not ready to let it go yet. I'm just going to let it sit for a while. But here's an example where you could see a large squeeze. It was going sideways, and then it just released and jumped up. Let's take a look at the S&P. The S&P is kind of flat today. You can see over here it kind of leveled off. I would expect it to eventually pull back into the wave before it had another run, but not necessarily. You could see it does this sideways thing before it does another run up. And let's look at the weekly chart on this. You can see the gap here between here and the wave. I don't like that. That kind of makes me nervous when it does this big gap and it runs up too fast. It tends to pull back. Let's look at the monthly just to double check, and you can see monthly levels. It did this. It ran up, but it ran up for quite some time. So we can actually measure that a little bit, right? And say, according to this, how far would we expect it to go, up or down? And now, from here to here, that would be the expectation, to go. If you were going from the bottom to the top here, and then this was the next bottom, another run could end us up here in the 6,000 range. So it has potential to continue to run. If I want to measure the distance here to here, the drop, I could look at that as well and say, I'm looking for a drop like that, right, from there to there. So this would be my drop, just in case what would happen. And you could see again, it would just kind of pull back into the wave over here, and that's around that 4,093 number. So it could fall significantly or just continue its run. Never know. But I just like to be careful and cautious when you see it gapping that far from the wave. Let's take a look at the euro real quick. So the euro dollar, that seems to be flat over here. It did squeeze. It kind of went up. We've had it peak not long ago, so not sure what it's going to do. This would be a case of, I don't know what it's going to do. I'm not really going to trade it. Let's take a look at the monthly, and you can see over the course of time, it looks like the euro to the dollar has been getting weaker on average. So this is 2010 to now. So you have about 14 years of data right here, and you can see the downward trend. It leveled off here, and it has been holding around this 1.08 support. So this is where we are with the euro. I'm not doing anything with it. It doesn't look like a clear trend to me, so I would stay away. Let's take a look at the real estate sector. Real estate sector had an exit by my bot. It pulled back into the wave. I would think that real estate should do well. I think interest rates are going to come down, so I would be looking to buy soon. Let's take a look at U.S. oil. U.S. oil is at 78. It has a nice green trend. It's continuing up, and it does have this gap, so I would be cautious. You can see it gaps and comes back into the wave, but the wave may come up to meet it, so I would think that there might be some level of support here. Let's take a look on the monthly chart, see if we can't get any more information from this monthly chart. And you can see there is a resistance level around here. So we would expect there to be this resistance here, and we do have our support down here. It's in the wave. It's not, out of the norm. So this might actually have room to continue going up, U.S. oil. But traditionally, I don't see it going up that high. You can see it's met with resistance here at 83. So it's got some room, but like a few points. Let's go ahead and take a look at the healthcare sector. Healthcare sector had a sell by my bot, and it pulled back into the wave. That might be an interesting time to buy. You see it has support from the volume ledge, and let's go ahead and take a look here. You can see it's coming down towards support here on the weekly chart, and it's still in buy mode on the weekly and the daily. So that's actually a good indication. Let's go ahead and take a look at micro crude oil. We looked at oil before. This is just another way of looking at oil, and it does look like it's at some sort of resistance level. Let's take a look at energy. Energy is doing well. It's pumping, as they say, and it's been in a buy mode in the weekly chart. Let's take a look at the daily chart. On the daily, we're a little bit high off of that wave. We have a lot of volume here, but let's take a look at that. Zoom out, and you can see that we're at some sort of resistance level. So we never know what's going to happen, but when you see resistance, you're not necessarily jumping into it. What I would say is if it does grow over resistance levels, then it would be much more interesting to get in. Looking at this on the monthly, we can add some lines up here so that we can see where our support levels are. So let's see. Let's draw some support and resistance. This definitely looks like a resistance level up here, 93. It looks like we've got some support around here, around 80. 82.3, 82.29. So let's go back into the weekly, and you can see it's just been bouncing between these support and resistance. We'll come into the daily, and we're coming up on that resistance level. So I wouldn't necessarily be getting into energy at the moment, but if it does cross over, that's a different story. Utilities. Utilities has a green wave. It's in the wave here. It's at the meat of their volume, so it can go anywhere. You can see it did squeeze and then went up a little bit, but we're kind of at the overbought level, so I'm not in here. The bot doesn't like it, and that's it for now, folks. If you have any questions or you want to look at something specifically, give me a call. So we've got here this Pfizer. Let's take a look at Pfizer. Pfizer had a big trade on a trade symbol. Somebody sold a bunch of puts. I'm guessing they think it's going to go up from here. It sort of is slowing down on its descent. It did squeeze over here, so we're looking for a release on the squeeze. You would have thought it would have gone down, but it didn't. It kind of went up and then held here in the wave. The bot is not a buyer anymore. Actually, it exited today. It's not sure about where it's going. So this all depends upon your strategy, but if you're looking at a much longer term strategy, I would say this is a good buy zone, and so does the bot.